Hey folks, welcome back. Today I've got the carburetor off of my 2004 Sportster, and as you can tell, it's pretty rough. It's your standard, I think it's a 40 millimeter Mikuni. Harley does all their branding on it. Harley Davidson there, it says Harley Davidson there, and of course Harley Davidson right there. What we're going to do is we're going to dismantle it and do a basic cleaning on the carburetor. So first I'm going to start with the cap. You can see the slide. It's free, but we're going to clean the whole body of the carburetor and all the jets. So we're going to start taking the Phillips screwdriver, go ahead and remove these 4 top screws. I don't have my glasses on, so here we go. Come on, baby. Now, the one thing that I really like to do, and it's just to keep everything organized and to keep, you know, what's been cleaned, what not's been cleaned. This would be a long screw. Okay. And it is. So as you can see, I have to pry it up just a little bit. Okay. Now in here, in this cap, you're going to see the spring, and we're going to be real careful taking this out. So that's kind of what you got. As you can see, the jet is, the needle is pretty nasty. We'll pop that out of here. One of the things on these old needles, they've got positions on them. So you can kind of see where that E-clip is, and it's got notches in that needle. So what I like to do is I like just to take just a paper towel, lay everything out nice and neat. That way you know what goes where. Now, as you can see, there's the basic body to your carburetor. There's up in the top. Now we're going to flip it up. We're going to take these out. These are a 3 millimeter Allen. Maybe. I thought they were. Okay, folks, I was right. It is a 3 millimeter. What I was doing was I had that on the ball end, and for some reason, it didn't like it. Okay. Now, a couple things you can do on this. You've got your manual fuel pump here. You can take that loose, and we might take that loose and just kind of see what's in there. But you got to be real careful with that gasket. And I do not have another gasket to replace that. So we may or may not take it apart. It depends on how dirty this carburetor is once we get in it. This bike has sit for a few years. It was a project motorcycle. So we'll just have to wait and see. But these are a 3 millimeter. Now what I always like to do is give these just a little tap, maybe a big tap. Wow. There we go. And then you'll see the rod. As you can see, that's kind of deteriorated. So the float bowl doesn't look too bad though, so we may be in pretty good shape. Okay, now we're down to the jets and the float. Let's see. we'll go ahead and take the jets out. So you got the main jet right here, which you will need. Oh Lord. And be careful not to tear that up. So unfortunately, what I'm gonna have to do is get a bigger bladed screwdriver. So hang on just one sec. Okay, what I done was I had to go get a wider bladed screwdriver. This is mainly for the air screw, and I forgot that we're gonna need one of these. So that's in there pretty tight, but this is your main jet. Set it over here. This is your jet needle, or needle jet. God. All right, guys. Wow. I'm gonna have to have a bigger screwdriver. So here we go. Okay, guys. Get this wide blade screwdriver, get it centered. Okie dokie. And those, when we put those back in, those do not have to be that tight. All right. So that don't look too bad either. Now, there is a pilot jet down in here in this hole, and I've got this little screwdriver. What I just do is just set it in there until you'll feel it go down in the slot. I bet this carburetor has never, ever been apart. And there's our pilot jet. Now, for the air screw is in this hole. What I like to do is I like to see where it's at, because the bike was running. So I take it 1, 2, 1.5, I'm sorry. 2, 2.5. Right at 3 turns, all the way to shut. So now we're going to take this all the way out. And here's one of the things where you have to be very, very careful. Because there is a spring, there's an O-ring on this. And you do not want to lose either one of those. Okay. I'm sorry, there's a spring, an O-ring, and a washer. So there's the spring, the O-ring still in there, the washer, and then the air needle. So I am not seeing the O-ring, which is weird. I may have to look that up. There may not be one on these. Most of them have a little rubber O-ring because that's what seals it, to keep it from sucking air around the threads. But get a light. Let's see what we got. Guys, I do not see one down in there. I'm going to go get a magnifying glass and I'll be right back. I'll see if there is one in there, and I also want to look it up on Harley's website as well. Okay folks, so we're down. We've got the air screw out, and I looked on Harley's website. It's just showing the air screw, the washer, and this. It's not showing a rubber O-ring. So if anyone else sees anything different, let me know. I've never seen one without it, but I don't know. Okay, so let's move on to the float. A lot of times these pins, you can push them out with just a pick. This one is not gonna let me do that. So you may have to have a small punch, and I use a light hammer. I just use a brass hammer, and then just lightly tap that out. We'll pull that out. Okay, now underneath of this, you've got your float needle. When you pull this out, you'll have the float needle on a little tab. On that tab right there, you'll have a little hook right here. And then this is a rubber piece. What I always like to do is just kind of look at it. Some of these, the older ones are metal, the newer ones are rubber. Just make sure that there's not a line in there where it has been seating in this seat right here. As you can see, that float bowl does not look all that bad. The exterior of the carburetor looks a little rough. You can see there's a little bit of backgassing built up in here, but nothing major. Butterfly works good and returns. It's just dirty. So what I'm gonna do now is just take all of this mess, and I will probably take this off as well. One of the things I always like to do too is the carburetor drain, the bowl drain. Go ahead and take that screw out. That way we can make sure that it's free and shoot some cleaner through it as well. Oh yeah, you can tell it's had a little bit of water in it, as you can see from the rust buildup. So we'll clean that all up. Get that all cleaned up. I am going to take this fuel pump apart. Let's see what it looks like here real quick. See if we can get these out easily. That one's loose. And guys, I can't stress enough, good quality screwdrivers on these. They go a long way. I like Snap-on. I'm not a big Snap-on. I don't live and die by Snap-on, but I like them. I use all Snap-on screwdrivers. The reason for that is they're good quality screwdrivers. You know, you buy once, you cry once. They're lifetime warranty. So the hard part, yes, is chasing the Snap-on guy down. However, I know a lot of folks that have shops. So usually what I do is I just take all of my Snap-on stuff to one of my buddies at one of the local shops. As you can see, all this is a diaphragm. What we'll do is we'll shoot a little bit of, and you've got these O-rings. There's O-rings here. So what I will do is I'll just run some cleaner. Here's where the dangerous part comes in. Yeah, I don't want to take it out of there right now until I moisten it up. What I'll do is I'll moisten that up with WD-40, get everything real pliable again before I take that apart. We'll get it all cleaned up. The bowl looks pretty good. So what I'll do is I'll get it all cleaned up. We'll make sure that all these jets are clear. We'll run some air through them, run some cleaner through them, and we'll come back and we'll get back to this, putting this thing back together. Stay tuned. Okay, folks, we got the carburetor all apart. As you can see, the carburetor body, I will slide this over here so you can see all my pieces parts. A couple things to note: whenever you're cleaning these out, make sure that on your accelerator pump that you're getting fuel up from here to here. There is a tiny hole in the top of this, and you just want to make sure that that's clean. You can blow through it, you can put air through it, whatever. Make sure this is all cleaned up. We took the accelerator pump and the diaphragm. I did not want to take this out because it's kind of in there. I did shoot some WD-40 up in there, which is how I get these gaskets back pliable, and all the O-rings. Make sure both of those O-rings are in there. And then again, make sure that float bowl's clean. I took this gasket out, cleaned up underneath it. Here's the gasket. It's not in too good a shape, but I'm going to try it. I'll spray it down real good with WD-40. So that's the float bowl gasket. On your needle seat, this is rubber. Some of them are steel. Just make sure that it doesn't have a ring around it. and make sure that this little guy right here, the plunger, is working. On your air screw, this thing is very, very, very delicate. And if you will look right here, it's a point. And it's like a needle. That's what it's called. It's an air screw. It shuts off the airflow or gives it air to richen and lean the mixture in the carburetor. Make sure and just kind of take your thumb or fingernail, make sure there's no ridges in it, but be very, very careful. Make sure you do not dent that. It's very sharp. It will poke you. Just make sure that that's fairly clean, which we have done. Now, on the flip side of that, and it's going to be very, very hard to see, but there is a flat washer, which is right here, and then there's an O-ring. It's very important as to which way these go in. The O-ring goes in, then the O-ring goes in, the washer goes in, then your spring. So it goes something like that. And we'll get all that installed here shortly. Your pilot jet, it has a hole all the way through it. This one has 2 holes going this way, and then 90 degrees has 2 more holes. Make sure that those are all clean. Blow carburetor cleaner through them. I take a wire brush and I just pull one of the bristles out of the wire brush. That way I know that I'm not getting anywhere near close to the jet size hole. And I just run it through there. Make sure you can get that little wire through there, which I'm not sure if you can see it, but that's it right there. Then our main jet. We have our main jet. It's just got one big large hole through the middle. And on the sides of these is written what size these jets are. Same thing on your pilot jet. The needle position. Some of these carburetors are built with a fixed position needle. This one has about 5 slots. As you can see where that needle's at, if you take that little E-clip off, make sure you put that back on there, because what that's going to do is this needle has a slope in it, and it's based on how this slide pulls this needle up out of that jet in that carburetor body, is how much fuel you're going to get, fuel air, how much acceleration you're going to get. This spring, make sure this spring that goes in here is still very pliable. Make sure that it hasn't any kinks in it, and your last coils, make sure that they are flat like they're supposed to be. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see right here, and then you can flip it over and see right here. So just make sure those are all good and flat. And again, in the carburetor body, just had some surface rust on it. I cleaned it up the best I could. Again, down in here where this little guy goes, this fuel needle seat, make sure that that looks good. Look down in there, you'll see a brass seat. These can be replaced. Other than that, just make sure everything looks good. I always shoot some carburetor cleaner through all my carburetors, then follow it up with WD-40, because anything that carburetor cleaner hits, especially rubber or plastic, it'll swell it or melt it. It's very, 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 very abrasive, or should I say just very, very harmful. So I follow everything up with WD-40. That way it lubricates it, plus it allows some extra lubrication when you put the carburetor back together. And other than that, we're going to get to putting this thing back together. So sit tight and let's put her back together. Okay, folks, so I'm going to start by spraying this down with WD-40. Alright, as you can see, that's wet. We'll put this gasket back on here. I'll be very, very careful reusing this gasket. I probably should buy a new gasket set, but I'm going to try this just to see, because this is my personal motorcycle. So if it leaks, guess what? It's no big deal. If it works, we'll be in good shape. Now, where we took this out of here, you probably have to do a little finagling, and it may not even go back in. It's going to be a little cranky, I see. And what it's trying to do is that gasket will try to roll, and when you put it back in there, it'll roll out. So, all right, well, we had it. A lot of times you just gotta stick it down in there very, very carefully. And it's like everything else. When you need an extra set of hands, put a little pressure on it, it's gonna keep popping off. So what we're gonna have to do, all right, yep, that corner keeps popping off. So what we're gonna have to do is when we put it back together, we'll just have to watch it. So we'll set that aside for now. Go ahead and start putting everything back in the carburetor on the bottom side. So we'll go ahead and this is your needle jet. Go ahead and stick it back down in there. I need to go get a wide bladed screwdriver.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Okay, so on this one, you just want to slightly torque it, just kind of snug, because those are brass, and you will strip those out. Now, the main jet goes in the end of that. Screw that down, and again, just slightly snug that. A different size screwdriver here. Just slightly snug it. Now there's that. So now, the only thing you have left to do is the pilot jet. It'll go in this hole. Very, very thin blade screwdriver. Now, once it goes down there, again, just a slight little snug. It doesn't have to be real tight. Okay, so that's everything in the bottom of the carburetor. Now what we're gonna do is assemble the float. There's a little tab in this float and that spring. What you want to do is make sure that that tab is between the spring and make sure that sits down in there real nice and neat. And then you get to finally put the pin down in there. See, it's not going there. We can get help. There it goes. All right. This pin will go in there. Now some of these are taper pins or the holes, one's bigger than the other one. So a lot of times I don't remember which side I took that out. So let's see here. Not want to start real good. There we go. Okay, so then you're gonna line that up and push that back through there like that. And what I always like to do is get a brass hammer or a soft face hammer. If you'll notice, the pin is kind of sticking out on this side and not on this side. Now keep in mind, these are little tower pieces. So if you hit them very hard, they will break. So what I ever tell everybody is with a brass hammer, just barely tap that in there, just like that. And now you see it's kind of flush with this side and this side. So now the bottom is done. So now what we've got to do is try to get this bad boy lined up and make sure that this goes back into here, and then this is going to be tricky, but I think we can do it. All right. What I'm going to do is put my finger on that so we get this up in here. Make sure everything gets aligned. All right, I believe that went well. So now we'll start our screws back in here. And then we can tighten them down. one of the things that I like to do just as a sanity check, if you have a spare piece of tubing at your house or in your garage, what I do is I go ahead and connect it to the fuel inlet, and I flip the carburetor, mainly to make sure that the float and the seat are shutting the fuel off like they're supposed to. That also is a good sanity check. Make sure you didn't get anything underneath of that valve seat to where it won't seal off, and then the float ball will just keep filling up, running over. Makes a mess in your garage. So, all right, I'm gonna go get an Allen wrench to tighten these 4 bolts up. Okay, so I guess since it's a Japanese metric carb, we should probably use the metric wrenches on it. I think those have been into it, but someone's been in it before, so they're a little stripped out. So we'll have to take care to make sure that we don't strip them anymore. And again, guys, these don't have to be that tight. I'm sure there's a torque value on these, but I've always just kind of torqued them by hand. And if you've ever done this before, you kind of know. But look up the torque values by all means. Then that way you've got it and you don't have to worry about it. Make sure this accelerator pump is working. So what this does is it works off of this bell crank. This pushes this lever arm, and which pushes this rod. So as you can see down in here, watch this rod. So when you give it throttle, there's for your accelerator pump. So now what I'm going to do is we'll put the accelerator pump on. Hit it with the old WD-40. So that's got WD-40. We're going to put a little more WD-40 on this to make it pliable. You can never have too much WD-40. All right. I figure out which way this goes. It's been a while since I've done one of these. There we go. I believe just like that. All right. Kind of wipe this down a little bit. And we can put our screws in there. I like to just snug those at first until you get all of them down kind of snug. That way it doesn't cock that to create a potential leak. And again, on this, I'm sure there's a torque value. I just kind of snug them all down. Again, doesn't have to be super tight. Just make sure that they're snug down. Now, that's the entire bottom of the carburetor. We know that the accelerator pump's working. Give it another quick, and you can hear it. You can hear it pumping. So there we go for that. Now all we have to do is assemble the top of the carburetor and the air screw, and we'll get to that here shortly. Stand by. Okay, guys, you remember I was telling you, if you have a piece of hose, take the hose, put it on there, and then just blow through it and just listen. You'll hear the air. As you flip the carburetor, you'll hear it stop. So then you know that your float valve is sealing off the fuel from your gas tank. Listen real close. And it shuts off. So now you know that the float is sealed off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and assemble the top part of this. So you're going to take your needle, and if you'll notice in the top of this, if you'll notice that needle seats in there just like that. So okay guys, so now we're going to put the top part of the carburetor back in. Again, you notice that we didn't mess with our needle position. You're going to drop the needle down in the slide through the center hole. And then this piece, you'll notice this will go down in there on top of your needle. And then the spring. Now this will only go one way because it's offset. And you'll need to make sure that, okay, so see I've got it in there backwards. See how it doesn't fit? Plus, there'll be a cutaway. There's two cutaways on this, and the cutaway has to be on a certain, if you'll notice, see how that's not going down in there? So I'll raise it back up. Now it's down in, now the needle's back down in the hole. So you want to make sure that this diaphragm actually goes back in and seats as well. And this one is a royal pain in the butt, especially now where I've got it good and moist and I pulled it out of there. What we may have to do is put this top on and get this thing started. I believe that's what we're gonna have to do. Okay, that went in there well. All right, well, that actually went better than I had anticipated. A lot of times that does not go that well. Now on these, you'll notice that there's two different size screws. One, and I'll show you here in a minute what that is for. So there's the different size screws. The one with the shoulder on it, there's 3 of those, and there's a long one. I'll show you where the long one goes here in just a second. Get these guys in here. I always like to give this just kind of a little wiggle to make sure that it's seated. Again, do not snug those, or just snug them down to where the screw is tight. I hold this very, very loosely, that way it can torque. Once you get these in here, and again, folks, just a nice little torque. Doesn't have to be anything really, really tight. Now this one will go in here, and the reason for that is because it's got this bracket, and then it goes through. So basically what it's doing is it's compensating for that bracket. If you don't have one of these, get one. They're awesome. Again, so there we go. Now, the main part of the carburetor is assembled. What we're gonna do is we'll go down here and we're gonna install the air screw. And remember what I told you, you have the actual screw itself, and then this is the way that it's actually going to go on there. You're going to have the O-ring, the washer, the spring, and then the actual needle jet itself. So again, I'm just going to spray this one down on the, my WD-40 is about done. All right, so the way that I assemble these and have for years, the spring, the washer, and it'll go down. You'll notice that there's shoulders on here. Here's where you'll poke your finger if you're not real careful. Now when you put this in there, make sure that O-ring, and it's kind of hard to see, make sure that O-ring, you've got the spring, you've got your washer, and then that O-ring is on the big shoulder, not on this piece. That way when you put it in there, see, now you can flip it upside down and it won't come apart. So put that down in there very gently. Now, I counted the number of rotations when I took this out, and that is very, very important. Depending on what's been done to the bike, it's very important. Generally, if you don't have a clue, these start at about 1 full turn and 1/8. So this one was actually at about 3. So I'm going to see where it runs when we get it fired up, and then I may have to adjust it from there. So it's seated, and again, you don't have to torque it, just snug it. So I'm gonna take this, there's a half, there's 1 half, 2 half, 3. So that's where it was when we took it off. So we'll just have to wait and see where this comes in at, and just kind of go from there. See what happens. Okay, now we have got the carburetor pretty much reassembled. Everything looks pretty good. So this is your float bowl drain plug. We're gonna float it down through good. It will have an O-ring on it. I did not take that O-ring off. What this does is whenever, let's just say you don't know whether or not you're getting fuel, what you can do is you'll notice that's got a little needle on it. It goes in here, it shuts the fuel off. If you back this out, fuel should come out of this. That verifies that you've at least got fuel in your float bowl. Again, you want to make sure that port is clean. Put some carburetor cleaner in it and run some WD-40 through it and some air. This one has to shut all the way off. You'll take it down and snug it. So, folks, there we have a Mikuni Harley-Davidson carburetor. It's not the prettiest thing, and I've seen them a lot worse. I've seen them a lot better, but you know, everything looks in good shape. We're gonna try it, put it back on the bike. If it works, fine. If not, then we'll just order a rebuild kit for it. Now, one of the other things that I want to point out is the choke assembly. So you've got a hole right here, and there's a seat down in there that seats on this. So this actually has a overmolded rubber seat in it, and then a little plunger. And so when you pull this, as you can see, that's choke. It pulls it out. It allows an enriched mixture to go in the carburetor. That way you're getting more fuel, heats up quicker, and you're ready to go. New motorcycles, all fuel injection, all this stuff goes away. What I generally do is I put this back together here. And the reason I do that is because you can't get to this guy once you put it in there. And it is a royal pain in the butt. And this will get gummy. So again, the old WD-40. WD-40 is not gonna hurt it. It's already goopy and tight, so. There we go. Now, that's ready to go back in there. We'll put that back in, get that torqued in, and we'll get the carburetor on the motorcycle. And let's see if it'll run. It's an old 2004 1200 Sportster. I bought it during COVID as a COVID project. Pretty neat little bike. You've seen it in some of my videos. But that is basic carburetor rebuild 101. So stick around. We'll put this thing on. We'll see if we can get it running, and we'll go from there. So in the meantime, shine the side up, knees in the breeze, and we'll catch you on the flip side.